What's up? We'll do the intro. What's up, everybody? It's your man, Coach Block, one half of TDS Radio. Mr. Intense himself, Mr. Horace, actually bumped our camera. So I'll fix that in 1 second.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
You sure? Okay. All right. So I'm here with...
You go so fast. Hey, y'all.
And to my right, Kim's left, is Miss Holly. Miss Holly is one of the participants in the cohort that we had called Routes to Results. That was, what, 10 weeks? 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
10 weeks. And... we were working with kinesiology. I got to make sure I'm saying that correct, right? Kinesiology.
You are.
Okay. So, Miss Holly, tell us a little bit about your business. Tell us the name of your business, and then let us know a little bit about what kinesiology is.
I would love to. So I'm a licensed massage and bodywork therapist, and I'm also an internationally certified Touch for Health kinesiology instructor. And I combine these two things to create unique and transformational sessions for my clients. And both of you have been with me before.
Yes, ma'am.
Thankfully, have your permission to talk about that today because we had so much fun together.
Yes.
Basically, what I do is I talk to people and find out what's happening underneath all the issues, right? So when you think about traditional massage, you think about something like massage, and you think about somebody on the massage table, under the sheet. And things like Massage Envy, they expect you to come back every week.
Yes.
Why? Because they don't address the underlying causes. So what I do is I actually look at what's the energetic issue underneath everything else. And Kim, you and I talked about this a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And it changes everything for you, right? It allows you to release that stress, tension, pain, any kind of emotional issues that you have. It allows the manual work that we do with the fascia to be so much more effective so that you actually get improvement instead of just slight relief for temporary.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what caused you to get into this field? Because it's unique, right? So this is not something that everybody would know about or just say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go to my kinesiology appointment. Like that's just not, it's not on the general path. This is very specific. So what caused you to get into this path and say, you know what, I want to embrace this and become licensed?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting story, and it's something I've been working toward really my whole life. So, I had a difficult upbringing. When I was a baby, my mother was unable to continue breastfeeding after a few weeks. It's a real issue. And so the problem was I was born with celiac disease, meaning I couldn't have gluten, so no wheat, rye, or barley. And when she stopped being able to breastfeed, I had to go on formula, which had gluten in it. And they didn't know back then. They didn't know what celiac disease was.
Right.
They didn't know how to treat it. And unfortunately, apparently this was common at the time, but the doctors told my parents to give me the sedative phenobarbital after I ate. So instead of addressing like what was the underlying cause of the pain and the distress, they basically just medicated me so I wouldn't be showing it. Yeah.
That's terrible.
It was.
That's terrible.
It was terrible for my whole family, really.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the frustration of my parents,
right?
Because it was constant crying.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just could not comfort me.
Right.
My mother says. And the thing about that is, over time, people just get frustrated with you, right?
Yeah.
People with fibromyalgia and other chronic pain conditions. It's like, how do you regulate that around people who don't have that kind of pain? You just don't understand it until you've felt chronic pain, right?
Correct.
So over time, I learned to mask my pain, right? But to cover that up, you had to go to work, you had to go to school, have relationships. You had to be there for people, family and other people. And so over time, that just all built up. I learned how to be basically the perfect instrument, playing all the right notes that everyone else wanted to hear to my own detriment. And I forgot that there was a song that was unique mine. I learned how to read the room. I learned how to look for other people's expectations and how to overperform to meet them. It was really, we talked about overperformance a lot. We have this situation in our society where we are on all the time, and if it's not a person, it's on video, it's on screens, and it just wears at you. It really does. You'll get to a point where you have the bone deep kind of exhaustion that sleep won't fix. And on top of that, the pain just keeps racking up.
Yes.
Right. So it'll go from one place in your body to another, right? So it might be your hips one day, your back, it may go up to your shoulders, or you may just hold it in your shoulders all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I do is I look at what's the energetic cause underneath that. So there's an energetic body, there's a physical body. There's also an energetic body that's based in traditional Chinese medicine that has energy meridians that circulate around the body and impact your nervous system and the functioning of almost everything in your body.
Okay.
So if you can identify what's out of balance out of those energy meridians, you can correct it so that the physical manifestation of what's happening for you becomes so much easier to manage. And the idea is that you do that so that you can have a more permanent relief.
So then now, how does one even recognize that this is something they should do? So like, how do I not just think like, my shoulder's just sore, but no, actually it might be an emotional thing. How does one even ID that?
Well, I'd be willing to venture to say that unless you have had an acute injury, it's probably an emotional cause.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But if you've had it for more than a week or two, there's something going on. There's a reason for that. And it's one of those things you just kind of have to look out for. And the problem is, we're not taught about holistic care.
Not at all.
Growing up, it was about, can we throw a drug at
Yes.
it?
Yep.
Medication.
Drugs,
Absolutely.
right? And so for me, what happened with my situation was because I was having to mask my pain, my distress for so long, I wound up with fibromyalgia by the time I was in my late 20s. And that is a pain you just cannot forget. And at that time, the doctors would just throw opiates at you.
Yes.
I mean, it was like candy. Like I would say, like, I don't need any more opiates. Yeah. Like, no, here you go.
No, you do.
Oh man, that's terrible.
So we have a new one that you should try.
I know. So it was really just having to come to the realization that prescription drug, even though a doctor prescribed it and that was their only remedy, that was not the way to go. I constantly had to decide, do I want to be in intense pain or do I want to be, out of my mind?
Yeah. And then how do you feel like you can work in tandem with therapy? Because oftentimes, like you said, it's something that's emotional, might be something that's mental. So how does kinesiology and therapy actually work together?
Absolutely. So certainly kinesiology, massage therapy, fascia therapy is definitely not a replacement for medical care. So if you're under a doctor's care already, you want to coordinate that with them. You want to let them know, hey, you know what, I'm going to be doing some emotional work, with one of my therapists, my other therapist, and talk to them about that. So you want to make sure that that's safe for you, right? So if you have actual trauma that you feel might we don't want to re-traumatize anybody, right? So, you and I talked about a lot of different things, and it's very important to only go as far as somebody's comfortable.
Absolutely.
Comfortable that feels good to them. So when you're talking to your therapist, it's like, okay, are you in therapy because you're in sort of an acute chronic problem that's life-threatening? Absolutely not. You don't even want to do this, right? So you want to make sure that you check with your doctors first. But I would say that the way that you know that you need it is if you are in general good health, not immediately traumatized, but you maybe have some emotional baggage, right? Some things that have happened to you in your life. It's certainly worth checking out, especially if you're in that overperformance loop, right? If you're the kind of person who feels they have to mask all the time, their feelings, their intensity, or their pain. It's like if you're always having to push through, this is definitely something that can help you.
I love that.
So now, give me to Kim's question. Give me the community around that. Like when you just said you always have to push through. We also work with a woman who deals CBD, the healing consultant, and she says the same thing. Like you shouldn't always have to push through.
Right.
And so what we're learning is that there's different pieces of self-care and therapy. So how would you package this if you were talking with somebody saying like, okay, once they leave you, they don't want to feel like, okay, now what? Like, it may come back. So
book another appointment. I know.
Right.
So what would be that in between until the next appointment?
Right. Absolutely. Well, there's self-care, right? So there's all kinds of self-care techniques that we have. And Kim and I talked about a lot of them. You and I didn't get a lot of time to talk about that because we were focused on a specific issue. So we stuck with that. But Kim and I looked at a lot of different ways to self-care.
It's like, girl, you got a lot going on.
Well, yeah, no, look at you. Yeah, it's so fab, Kim. You, of course, have a lot going on, right? You have a lot that you're doing. You have a purpose. You are on your purpose, and you are doing it, girl. You know, it's like you've got it,
My girl.
you are. Look at you. I mean, come on. Everything about you says, "I've got this. I've got this," and I know because I know people. Like, there's always a part, a small part of us that is like, do I have
right? Yeah.
Right. It's always like, people have, not necessarily you, but some people have, imposter syndrome. Am I doing enough? Am I actually being what I'm expected to be? Am I performing enough to receive love, care, respect, value at work, those kinds of things? Yeah. So how do you package that? So how about I tell you a little bit of self-care for our listeners and for you as well. So one of the things that you can do, what's interesting about energy meridians is they have different end points on the body, right? So they have a certain flow and a direction. And so one of the things that we talked about was rubbing what they call switching points, which are endpoints of meridians. And so one of the things that you can do, like if you're feeling out of sorts, maybe you can't find your words, maybe you have some dyslexic problems, maybe you're just like, can't remember, why did I come into this room? I mean, how many of us have that?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So one of the things that you can do when you know that you're going to need to be on and you want to be present and you want to be calm and grounded for that is you can put one hand over your belly button, okay? And with the other hand, you would rub these 2 points on your chest. It's just below the clavicle on either side of the sternum, about an inch out. And so this corrects left to right switching in the brain. So this can lead to a direct sense of calm almost immediately. So it's right there. And then one hand, you've got it, coach. That's it. And then the next one is just above and below the lips, back and forth with the hand still on the belly button. And this corrects up and down switching. And the next one is to rub just up and down over the tailbone. So after you've done these 3 switching points, Kim, we had a really fun time.
Ma'am.
We had a good time when I showed you about central meridian. It's obviously one, you can imagine from the name, that is one of the most important meridians that governs so many other things in your body, including very much your energy level and your sense of calm. And so the muscle testing that happens in kinesiology isolates specific muscles. And it has gentle pressure to make the change. So it's not about holding strong. It's about seeing when the change happens. So for instance, if you were to put your arm out in front of you about 30 degrees, I'm sitting, so it's hard to do 30 degrees, but it's just a simple press down on the arm, pushing toward the floor. And when we did that, so when we first did it, it was strong and it was easy for you to hold that. And then we ran the central meridian down, and what happened?
Then all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, what's going on?
I couldn't even hold her arm.
What's going on?
And I love that response. It's so much fun to watch people go, wait, what just happened? The one I like to do is, say my name is Kim, and you said it and you were strong. And then I said, say my name is George, and you were like, the body knows, it does not believe you, right? So one of the things that's really good to do when you're amped up and you really need to calm down, you need to get reset, you need to get focused, is to what they call flush central meridian. And so central meridian goes from just below the lower lip, it goes all the way down to the top of the pubic bone. And so when you run it down, your energy is going to go down. When you run it back up, then it goes back up. So if you flush that up and down, say 3 times, ending in the up direction, right? Because you want to make sure that you have optimal energy. So you end on the up direction, and then you move your hand away from you, and you run it up 2 or 3 times, you're going to wind up with more energy, more calm, more clarity. Right? So that's something that you can do anytime. Another thing, I'm going to tell you the big secret weapon. Okay. This is the big secret. This is the one that I use daily, probably multiple times a day. And I think we might have talked about this a little bit, the emotional stress release technique. And so this covers other meridian endpoints and also neurovascular points on the forehead. So you would take one hand and put it over your forehead whenever you're stressed, when you have important things coming up and you want to get grounded. You can also put one hand over the back of your ridge of your skull where the occiput is. This is called a frontal occipital hold. And anytime that you're feeling overwhelmed, grieving, out of control, just wanting to feel more grounded, even just
I'm gonna just walk around like this. Like,
I know, right?
This is where I'm at. Y'all. This is where I'm at.
Right here. And like you said, it just brings everything down.
This is where I'm at.
It does. And I never fail to be amazed by it. Because you think, how is that going to help me? But it does. It just does. So yeah, play with it, try it. Another thing that you can do one of the things that we have going on these days is there's just so much overwhelm.
Mhm.
There's so much coming at us from so many different directions. And one of the things that you can do that's really easy is to do like an infinity symbol in
Mhm.
front of your face, like in front of your eyes.
Okay.
Right. That's another thing that you can do just to get more grounded.
But you said always ended with it going up.
Yes. Thank you, Kim. Always in the up direction in the middle. And I know that looks funny, but you know what? If it works, you do it.
Somebody's watching.
Where have you been?
This one right here, I just want it to stay that way. Now,
I know, right?
you're not supposed to add any extra pressure though, like pull on your neck or anything, or push.
No, it's not necessary. So just
rest.
light pressure, very light pressure on those neurovascular points there.
Walking around the house, just
You know what it is. You see it.
And there's a number of ways that you can lock that in without having to have your hands up.
Mhm.
And so one of the simplest ways that I know to do that, you have your hand over your forehead like this.
Mhm.
Just take your thumb and swipe up.
I've seen
on your
people
third
do
eye.
that.
so I was told to do that when I have migraines.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
So when I have migraines, I was told to do this, and it at
Just
times it works.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I was, and it was a random person that told me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a doctor or anything. Because
Yeah.
pills and
I've
stuff don't
seen
work.
people do that, and I was like, "What's going on?" But okay, so you said just point and then
Yeah.
swipe up.
Just
see?
swipe up.
Shut up.
Them nails now, you scratching your nose at the same time. Let me ask you this: does our body have, like, we feel like we're always on, but does our body have an off switch? And if so, how do you activate just, I want from my toes all the way up to the top of my head. I just want to be off for a minute. How does that happen?
I'll tell you what, I'm sure there's many, many answers to that question.
Mhm.
But I will say, if you do that emotional stress release technique,
Mhm.
and then you do straw breathing, have you ever heard of straw breathing?
I have not.
So straw breathing is a really, really simple technique that a lot of therapists use as well. So what you would do is you would inhale, preferably through your nose, but it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
You inhale, then when you breathe out, you want to purse your lips like you're going to suck through a straw, right? Or like you're going to blow a kiss or something
Okay.
like that. And you blow out slowly all the way to the end, just like that. And you want to take your time to do that slowly and really feel that exhale. And then you want to do that 3 or 4 times. If you do that while you're holding the emotional stress release hold, I
Mhm.
guarantee you will feel immediately better.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mm. I need to shut it off. Like, I feel like, because we had discussed, my issues are always my lower back and my shoulders. You felt my shoulders like, yeah, this is not normal, dude.
Mhm.
Like, so
Right.
and that's where I hold everything. But sometimes, like even tonight, I just want to go home and just shut off because I feel like I'm on. And when I say on, I'm like on 10.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do that. So last night I was up until almost 4:30 because I'm just like, even when I go to sleep, I'm still back up. And so I'm not resting. So I didn't know if there was something that you can do that's not drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. What we just did. The other thing is, we showed you central meridian, right?
Mhm.
So what did I say happens when you run it down?
Mhm.
It slows you down.
Mhm.
You will have less energy. So if you have over energy
Mhm.
happening, you can't get back to sleep. You can just run it down.
Mhm.
And
Does
then
it
when
work on kids?
of course it does.
Because I got a daughter. I'm like,
Go to sleep.
Absolutely.
Because she's always on 10 too. Shut up. I'm sorry, I'm sleepy.
There's that.
We shouldn't use it in those type of ways. I'm sorry.
Well,
Like,
no,
come here. You want to?
it's not like you're doing anything wrong.
No,
right?
not at all.
You don't want to let them know you're doing it.
Yeah.
But you want to be like, hey, let's play a game.
And I
Play
mean,
a game,
even
and then you have them run it down.
when you think about like children who get overwhelmed and they're so worked up that they can't use their words because it's just emotions, like would that be a good technique to teach them of just like, let's center, ourselves for a moment?
Kids understand that. They feel the difference in energy even
Mhm.
faster than we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can teach them that hold.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is Ayurveda has mudras, which are hand positions. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of saints and other things where they're holding hand positions. So Apana mudra is the thumb to the middle 2 fingers, and the other two fingers can relax. But this also sort of down regulates the energy system and leads to centering and groundedness. So this is also something that you could teach kids when they're going to bed, when they're too hyper. Like, you got to make a game of it, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are teaching. I was wondering what people did. I was like, what are they doing? Okay, makes sense.
Oh, there's
Like when
there's
they do
dozens, if not
Yeah.
hundreds, of those things.
Yeah, I'll see people breathing and they'll have their legs crossed and they'll literally have their hands just like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Okay. And then the one thing I do have to mention about Miss Holly is, I don't want to say it, but I mean, you essentially laid hands on me.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And the feeling was something that I have never felt before, because I know you had said that my left side was, very stiff. My right side is a little bit looser, and that's because of the injury. I depend a lot on my left side than on my right side until I can, get things back balanced. But you were able to hit certain points in my legs and in my feet, and it felt like there was this rush of water that happened, in my legs, and I'm like, I feel like I can move again.
Mhm.
It didn't feel like this
Yeah.
anymore. So can you explain to our listeners and our viewers what exactly you did?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the fascia work that I do. It
Mhm.
is really sort of my first love,
Mhm.
if you will. And it's, for some reason, it's just always been very intuitive to me.
Mhm.
From coming from a place of having fibromyalgia. My mother also had fibromyalgia and a lot of
Oh.
chronic pain. So for decades, I've learned how to work on myself
Mhm.
from a chiropractor friend of mine, Dr. Denise Heflin. And I learned my technique originally from her because I was seeing her literally 3 times a week,
Mm.
trying to
Okay.
control my pain levels. And she says, I'm gonna have to teach you some self-care. This is gonna break anybody. And it's very expensive to get that kind
Yeah.
of care, for sure. So it's like you want to take that in and learn what
Mhm.
you can. So I started working on myself, and as I started to get better, I started to use it on my mom, who is incredibly delicate.
Okay.
Like, she cannot get body work.
Okay.
Everybody she's ever tried to go to just really hurts her.
Mm.
So having worked with her, usually when you talk about fascial release, people talk about a lot things with a lot of pain.
Mhm.
People get their elbows in there, right? You're like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
stick an elbow in that.
Mhm.
No, that works against your nervous system,
Mhm.
right? So it'll kick you right back out. Your nervous system knows all of these tissues are intimately connected to the nervous system.
Mhm.
So what I do works with the nervous system.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And as you know, Kim, when I went to work on you, it's like you check and see what's actually moving
Yes.
first. So it's all about, where is the flow happening?
Mhm.
And the fascia is the connective tissue in the body that surrounds every single muscle fiber. Basically, if you've seen people flex their bicep,
Mhm.
right? You've seen the muscle gets shortened
Mhm.
and it flexes. So the muscle fibers slide over each other like this in an interlocking pattern.
Mhm.
And the fascia is the connective tissue that lubricates that movement. So on expansion and contraction of the
Mhm.
muscle, that's what keeps it flowing smoothly. Now, when we have stress, when we have, whether it's emotional or physical or
Mhm.
injury or anything like that, it will harden.
Mhm.
So it can be either liquid or it can be solid, and it will solidify
Mhm.
if you agitate it.
That's what she found in my shoulders
Oh, really?
and my calves, or my
Really?
shins. I'm sorry. Yeah, she was pressing like, yeah, that's not supposed to be like that.
Huh.
And like this shoulder here, she was like, yeah, it's like a rock. And if you feel it right now, what should feel like muscle actually feels like a rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
I'm sorry.
Your shins?
Well,
What's going on?
yeah, it's a lot of stress, man.
And your shins?
It's crazy. See, your sister laughs at you. See, people, we can never be serious around here. I'm talking about my pain. She's like, in your shins?
What?
Yes, in my shins.
How stressed out you have to be for your shins to be
See? Excuse her, Holly. She laughs at my pain all the time on this show. And it's like, yes, my shins and my calves. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. The body holds tension in different ways. Everybody's different.
She does that all the time. So this, if I fall, she's gonna laugh first, help me second.
I've heard your back.
Now I have to laugh, Kim, because what did we release on you, girl? Your shins.
Wasn't my shit? That was your shit.
See, it really like the pressure of it is because like my calves are always flexed. They are always flexed. Like I don't even. They're always flexed. Period. They're like a rock. And so, of course, your shins are going to also be in that same.
Well,
vein.
is it because, like, I know it's stress, but is it in the way that we walk? Like, what makes a person's lower half hold so much?
That's a good question. I'm sure it's very individual, right? It can be emotional stress. It could be physical stress. In the case of coach and other athletes, it could easily be from injuries and overuse, having to continue to perform physically when you really shouldn't. Right, a lot of people feel like they can't sit out on the bench.
Yeah,
real common, right?
You're
Coach?
1,000% correct, especially with my shins.
Yeah.
Because you would figure, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I was a running back, and nobody ever really tackled me up here. They tackled me at my knees and my shins. So like the knots that I have in my shins is because of constant bang, bang. This all the time. So. Now you're talking about that happening for what, 6 to 8 years between high school and college,
right?
I don't know anything different. Like that's just like you said, it's a pain that you just go through.
So then, Holly, how can you work, or is it almost kind of like borderline the same that physical therapists do? Because typically when you are injured, they send you to a physical therapist and have you work it out. But how do you also make sure that what you do works for recovery purposes?
Well, it's been a while since I've been in physical therapy, but back in 2000, I had ruptured 3 discs in my lower back. Yes, incredible pain.
Wow,
that was incredible pain. And I did go to physical therapy for that, and it was interesting to me. They wanted me to lift weights, right? It was exercises that you would expect to do in the gym, and I was like, I'm in too much pain for this. It didn't make sense to me. And I know that there's a lot of different ways to practice physical therapy, but I just haven't been involved in that in a long time. With regard to the kinesiology. It's very gentle muscle testing, and coach can tell you, what we did with you to work on your low back and your hips, right? We didn't even work with the fascia work.
No,
very much.
No,
it's so powerful that just by correcting those energy imbalances, right? So where you can always imagine where you have one muscle that's tight and contracted and stays contracted, there's the opposite muscle that's going to be weak.
Right.
And it's going to be stretched.
Right.
So if you strengthen that weak and stretched out muscle, then it comes back into balance.
Which that was my hamstrings. Remember, I couldn't lift my foot to the ceiling until after we started to work. And then I was able to lay on my stomach and lift my foot straight up. But at first I didn't have any strength to do it. It was like, I had to use I was engaging my back to actually do it versus me straight lifting my leg straight by itself. Yeah.
Yeah, very different ergonomics there for sure.
Yeah.
And so if you would, coach, say, what did you have to do before the session? What would you have to do in order to bend over and pick something up if you dropped it?
Oh, like I had to kind of almost slow down, squat, like widen my legs before. I wasn't just, you're over there trying to laugh. I got back problems. It wasn't just straight down. It was, you had to think this thing through before you go. You gonna keep laughing.
Because you do. This is so accurate.
Because I got back problems, man.
When you have pain, you have to think about it.
It's so accurate.
You gotta think about that. You might just stay there for a while.
You might.
Ain't that serious?
Tell me this, coach. How did you feel after the session?
Loose. I was able to, place both legs together and bend without any problems. Yeah.
Never mind.
Go ahead. No, ask.
So, because of you playing sports, is that why your back is so tight? And not to be funny, but is that why you couldn't touch your toes?
Nah, it's so. Whenever I relax, or my as Holly is saying, whenever I'm not contracted, even if you notice how I'm sitting right now, I'm sitting very tight. But that's because right now I am stressed. But once I loosen up, then I'm good. But the problem is the damage that has been done while I was tight. So even my shoulders, even when I'm not stressed out, they feel like rocks all the time. And so what I have to learn now is how to start the process to loosen myself back up and then stay there. Because what happens is I'll get stressed and then I'm like this. And then when I go to sleep, literally I sleep on my side, almost in a fetal position. So then that's not helping. Now you wake up and everything's tight. Now you rolling out the bed like, ugh. So it's just, but once I get loose, I have to. That's why I was asking, like, what happens from session to session? Because you got to have that self-care in between. Because by the time I end up seeing her again, I'm like, help!
Back in the ball. She said, all right.
God damn it, it hurts. Like, it is just, and it really is just a lot of it is stress. And even when you're trying to not be in that mind state, your body is in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. I'll try to control it. Okay, it's not that bad. And mentally I'm going through the motion, but the body's like, yeah, you're lying to yourself right now.
For sure.
Because we had that experience. So I'm fighting the experience, right? So like I was closing my eyes and I was just listening to the instructions and listening to the words. But then next thing you know, Holly touched my toe and then the inner part of my knee. And she was like, Next thing you know, she started sweating from the energy transfer. And I told her, because there was a piece inside of me that was just, it was a tug of, it's cool, let go. And she was telling me like, that's your protector that showed up. I'm like, clearly, because in my mind, I'm like, this ain't, we're not doing this. I promise you. Yeah.
I said, girl, do whatever you need.
Literally, poor Holly got my spirit and started sweating like, oh God, it's Satan. I'm like, no, it's not. I promise you, I felt bad. I'm like, literally, because I promise you, she just touched my toe just as gently and then the inside of my knee. And I looked down and she's like, whew, full sweat. And I'm looking at her like, oh no, sorry. Because inside of me is this going on.
So explain that, Holly. When you come across someone where that energy transfer is happening, what do you, first of all, what do you do? And then how do you get that to stop for them?
Right. So that was acupressure holding points that we did. And it was actually a good thing. It's good when that happens. That means you are releasing that energy. So that stuck energy that was keeping you from functioning correctly was being released. We want that. That's perfect. The fact that it comes through me and I feel it, that is okay. Like that is just part of the process, right? So it's all part of that flow, right? We talk about the energy meridians and how it goes through different parts of your body. So all of that flow, when you are you're contracted all the time, you are blocking your flow, right? You are blocking your good. For sure.
I need good, Holly. I need good.
Right? Well, I got plenty of that. But it's something we can just be mindful of it, right? So one of the things, like for a certain part of your body, if you know a part of your body is always tight, another thing that you can do, so simple, like just on the shoulders. Can I touch your shoulders?
Yeah, sure.
So if you simply press your let me see where you can see this on the video. I'll do it on your shoulder. So if this was tight all the time, all you have to do is push your fingers together like this. There's a spindle cell mechanism that actually causes the muscle to react by relaxing. So they call it push to mush, right? And if you try it on your own shoulders, you can do it. You just push your fingers together toward the middle like this, right? So you push the fingers together to mush the muscle. And even just doing that, like if you know that your calves are chronically tight, when you're feeling that pain, you got to go upstairs or something like that, just reach down there and just push those fingers together in the belly of the muscle. So you want to pick like the middle part of the muscle that's like right in the middle, kind of the bulky part. And you just push your fingers together in the middle like that. And you can push to mush. And it's something that you don't have to, maybe you don't have time to come see me. Like you said, you are so busy right now, right? But all you have to do is do a little self-care. You do that, you do a little bit of emotional stress release, which also releases pain and tension, and you're halfway there.
I got a question because it's happened to me. If you don't know, it's cool. But I have not had anybody be able to do this. I went to get a pedicure, and the lady who was doing my pedicure, she was banging on my calf. She said, you have a lot of stress here. But then she took two fingers, this is why I'm thinking about it, and went to my Achilles and then pressed somewhere. And when I tell you, I just melt out. Whoa. I'm like, what did you do? She was like, right here. And she was telling my fiance where to press, but we never found it again. But I promise you. And then when I went back, she wasn't working there no more. But because I wanted it again, because I'm telling you, all she did was she went like this, and then she just squeezed, and it wasn't even a hard press. Next thing you know, my leg just was like flush, and it just went from my legs, and I felt it go back up and right back down again. And she did the same thing on the other side. So what is it about like the Achilles? Because I did hear that the Achilles does have release points for your feet and things like that, and just blood flowing in it. is there a spot there that we should be doing that same technique too?
I don't 100% know about that. It sounds more like a reflexology thing, possibly. But
Okay.
there may also be some acupuncture points that are also there. I'm just not familiar with them.
Okay.
But I can tell you that the calf muscles come down and attach all along the outside of your heel. So all the way up around that curve on either side. I know for me, when I, for instance, let's talk about Marvis Henderson for a moment. That fantastic dance party we had this Saturday with the line dancing. Absolutely amazing.
That was great.
I loved that. I would do that again anytime with Marvis.
Yes.
And after that, that's exactly the first place that I went to after that dance. My feet were sore. You saw me up there dancing for hours. It was so wonderful.
2 straight hours of dancing.
It was fantastic. And so the first thing I did was reach down there and just gently rub those spots because that's where all the attachment points are.
Okay.
So it's amazing how sometimes, we think that it's got to be, somebody working on that big piece of the muscle for us, but it doesn't actually. So attachment points, reflex points, you got all kinds of different areas that could be responsive to different kinds of treatments. And so it's just a question of, how do you do that?
So with these, because I have one, for those who don't know what they are, what are they? And then tell us specifically about your attachment that you have there, because that's unique.
Absolutely. So you don't have one quite like this. So let me just show these for the camera. So what these are, this is the inner wave fascia release technology. This was invented by Dr. Robert Schmidt, doctor of chiropractic in Austin, Texas, and a dear friend of mine. I'm one of only a few people in the world that has the pleasure of having these. And what this is a basic massage hand tool hand set, but it has attached to it his invention, which is essentially a polyurethane wheel that is attached to a stem that goes into this instead of, for instance, a percussive head. So instead of being a percussive tool or a vibration tool, what this does is it actually creates a standing wave in the muscle tissue. And using one of them, as Kim knows, feels very good. Using two feels even better and creates an even stronger waveform. So when I'm working with somebody with soft tissue work, I would start out with my hands to assess what's happening, see where the flow is happening in the body, what's moving, what's not. And then I would move to working with the inner wave tools to bring about additional fascial release. So the kinesiology, being as powerful as it is, I would usually start with that to remove that underlying energetic condition, and then move to these tools to finish off all the extra stuff. So we just didn't get a chance to work on that time, Coach. So I'm hoping you come back.
Yeah, we got to do it again. Yeah, we got to do it again.
It might take a few sessions. If somebody has a lot of chronic issues, they've been pushing through, powering through, doing the thing for so many years, it might take a few sessions to sort of unlock all of the different parts of the body. For sure.
How dangerous is the pushing through? Because we're taught that. You know what I mean?
We are.
We're taught to do that, and if you don't do it, you're deemed almost as like weak. So
exactly, especially men.
Yeah. So how important is it to address or debunk the push through?
Well, in the story I was telling earlier, where I was masking my pain, masking my distress to try to make other people feel comfortable. It's kind of the same thing as pushing through. You had to push through. I have to get this done. I have to do these things. I have to look this way. I have to be received in this way. And so when people push through, the body will continue to tell you what's happening. It will continue to tell you that you are out of alignment, that you are out of energy, and to stop. And if you don't listen to it, it will just keep telling you louder and louder. So it's important, if you want good health, to address those things early, because if you don't, you run the risk of it getting worse and having to actually go to a doctor. The doctor is probably going to prescribe you drugs that are not going to be good for your liver or your kidneys, other things like that. And it's probably going to cost you a whole lot more money. Or surgery. When I told you I had those 3 ruptured discs in my low back, I was in physical therapy with a Feldenkrais physical therapist for a couple of years. And this was before I knew about kinesiology, but he was absolutely fantastic. So I was doing one-on-one functional integration with him. And over time, I felt so much better, but the insurance company said, no more physical therapy for you. You got to go to a neurologist and get surgery. And I was like, I don't want surgery. I don't think I need surgery. And when I went back to the neurologist, he was saying, well, okay, so we got to have this surgery. And when you come in, the day of surgery, we'll have to do an MRI to see if anything's changed. And I'm like, well, wait, now you just told me that the MRI that I had 2 years ago, nothing would have changed. He's like, well, we just want to make sure. I said, if you want to make sure and it doesn't change for 2 years, why don't you test me now?
Right.
Let's see if I actually do need that surgery.
Right.
And sure enough, when I came back for the next appointment, he said, Ms. Ferguson, have you been praying? And I was like, oh gosh, should I have been? And he said, no, Miss Ferguson, it's a miracle.
Mhm.
In 30 years, I've never seen so much improvement.
Really?
Wow.
Right. So there's a lot of different modalities that you can pursue.
Yeah.
It's what works best for you.
Right.
Right. With your time, your budget. Obviously, physical therapy was covered by my insurance. So that was really helpful at the time, but it did not cover the emotional issues. Right. So it definitely helped with those ruptured discs, but it didn't necessarily help all of the emotional issues that I've been holding from pushing through for so long.
So the reason why I asked about pushing through, and even with the kinesiology, it is something where I know even culturally, I don't see people from my culture, men especially, because I can't even get men to go see therapists, let alone experience that. But then also they'll suffer in silence from the stress. And it's like, there's ways to get help, but that's why I keep asking questions like, so how do you identify this? How do you know to come check you out? Because it's another form of self-care that we're missing, even as men. Like, so how many clients do you have that are men that would, or that men that have come and then had a difference like myself? Because testimony is key. Like the same way we have a therapist that comes and sit in that seat and I'm like, go to therapy. And then you're here now. And I'm like, I'm telling y'all, there was a pull inside of me. And the next thing you know, there was a release. Go see Holly. Like, so what would be your words to men in that space? I hate to sound sexist like that, but to be completely honest, just as Mr. Horace was just saying, at times we're boneheaded and we ignore what we need to do. You, like you just said, your session, you're like, woo. In my session, I'm like, no.
Like, yes, Holly, take the social security number, girl, whatever you want.
And I love that curiosity, Tim. It was so much fun. We had so much. I think we laughed at least 90% of the time. And we had a great time too doing your session too. But it was obvious that her curiosity, oh, what is that over there? I want some of that. That was really clear.
Yeah.
She was interested in, oh, could that help? Let's find out. So everything that I do is about, well, let's find out. And honestly, I will be honest with you. I have probably not had more than about a dozen male clients.
Okay.
Wow.
And they're so taught to push through and be strong. It's about being strong, right? My brother will tell you, he's a big guy, he's a strong guy. It's really hard.
Has he tried it yet?
He has, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my whole family is definitely.
Okay.
Good.
I used to do it as Christmas presents. I would just take my massage table with me.
Yeah.
For Christmas.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I worked on my mom for a very, very long time. I've even worked on my youngest niece when she was a baby.
Okay.
Had some fascia issues. She had a big lump on her chest, and her mother was so afraid. Well, what if it's cancer? I'm like, well, give me 5 minutes. Let's find out. And literally, I mean, with babies, everything happens so fast because they're so in flow. That literally, just laying hands on her, touching that fascia, like it just dissolved like within minutes. So it can go just like that. But the problem is, all of us, men and women both, we're not taught. We're not taught to think about these things. We're not taught about alternative therapies in school.
No.
Maybe you've heard about massage. Maybe you've seen massage in ads. You've seen it. It's at school through videos, TV, things like that, right? So you have a certain concept of what a massage is, but it doesn't actually talk about other alternative therapies. Particularly kinesiology is really big in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, but there's just not a lot of it here. We're very fortunate that Arlene Green, who is with the U.S. Kinesiology Institute, is the senior faculty member in the U.S. of the International Kinesiology College, and she's right here in Chapel Hill.
Oh, wow.
That's sweet.
I'm super blessed because we have people come from all over the world for her classes. And the thing is that I've seen almost universally is the men are just, it's about being strong. Like even just doing the muscle test, right? It's like they want to resist too much, right? So the tension for most men, like if you have your hands in front of you like this, if your both hands are pushing with 2 pounds of pressure, right? You stay balanced in the middle. But if one hand is pushing with 8 pounds of pressure, right? It's going to go off to the center. So when you're working with people who are chronic overfunctioners, who are taught to push through, it's like it's hard at first just to get them to release their guarding, right? It's like they want to protect that that feeling of control. It's not in control. I don't mean control in a bad way.
Right.
I just mean that they're taught that these are the things that you have to do, to perform and be functional and to look strong. Especially if you're an athlete, right? You can't look weak. What? not be good, right? So they're taught to push through, and so I think that fewer men seek seek help with alternative therapies.
And so now we're going to spin it a little bit and just talk a little bit about just like the cohort, because we wouldn't have met if you didn't show up at the cohort. So I'm so appreciative that you did. So in the 3 buckets that we kind of are talking about with the deepen, the capital campaign for ECHO is tailored learning, access to capital, and trusted relationships. Which one of those most resonate with you from ECHO?
Sure. I love the friendships that I've made. Like, I don't just consider them network. It wasn't just networking. Like, there are people that I know I will be in contact with for the rest of my life.
I love that.
And when I came into ECHO, I was very new to entrepreneurship. I had worked for the Environmental Protection Agency for the federal government for about 23 years.
Wow.
As an environmental scientist.
Okay.
And so I had been doing massage. I've had my license since 2010. So I'd been doing massage therapy for, about 15 years, but doing it part-time on the side.
Gotcha.
Right. So it's a little bit different than when, all of a sudden, this is your only income. And this is where you've got to be focused to get all these other things set up that I didn't really need so much before. And so I wasn't sure if I was ready for ECHO. Like, when I read it, I actually found it on the WRAL website.
Really?
I was reading something about a hurricane that was coming up, and I saw, I don't usually read sponsored articles, but something said, read this. And I read it, and I was really impressed. I was like, that sounds really interesting. And the price was insanely low. I was like, oh my gosh, even if I go to this thing for 10 weeks and all I do is meet a few people, like, that would be well worth it. And I thought, I would love to be around the kind of energy that other entrepreneurs have. It's like, I really want to, like, it's such a different energy than being in the government. Like, it's like, it's not that we weren't actively doing a lot of things. It's just a different mindset. It's not we've always done it this way. It's very much everything's new, every piece of it. And so I wasn't sure, like, would I be far enough along to benefit? Like, would they be so far ahead of me with the speakers and the learning that would it benefit me? And I went, loved every minute. I loved every single speaker. I loved all the people that I met there. And it's really, like, just the speakers that you had addressed everything from the beginning to intermediate stuff. And it was really obvious that they were available to talk about more advanced issues if you wanted to. Kim came and talked, and that was fantastic. Your marketing information.
Thank you.
I loved hearing you. It was so much fun. Every one of the speakers, including you, brought so much energy into the room. And it was clear that you all had a passion for what you were doing and helping other entrepreneurs. And the advice was invaluable, like tailoring my marketing plan, getting my pitch set in a way that could address different audiences, understanding what my market actually was and where I wanted to take it, like really solidifying my vision was fantastic. It was such a great exercise.
So it was great. And your pitch came off so smooth. It was like, that was smooth as ice. She was the first one to go too. And everybody was like, oh, and then Horace was like, how are we supposed to back that? Because it was just effortless and smooth. But I think everybody did a great job, because the beauty is people are working on their passion. You can tell that this is your passion. Like, you want to see people not in pain. And so it was able to really, really flow. And the one thing that I it's kind of hard to say that, it's over, because I don't like to say that. But now, moving forward, what are some things that you're taking away moving forward along with the friendships?
Oh, that is a really good question. I learned so much about how to be an entrepreneur. Like, what kinds of paperwork do I need? These are the non-glamorous things were covered in such a way that you were like, oh, I do need that. And so I feel so much more prepared for the future, because now I know, for instance, if I want to get funding, now I know what kinds of records I need to keep in order to get funding, and I know where I can go to get it.
Jonathan was great.
Jonathan was fantastic. And I feel like I had no idea, no clue about any of that stuff before. And understanding tax records, how to minimize your tax burden, absolutely invaluable. Where could I have gotten that? Now, I know that people say, well, you can take courses at junior college, but honestly, I can't imagine it being any better than this. Everything was so engaging, so right on time. And I really felt that you and the other staff, Anjanette, really cared. Like, are we providing the right speakers for the people in this cohort? Right. It wasn't just like, well, here's the standard 12 people that we have come up here. No, it was like, what do you guys need this week? Like, who wants to know about AI? What kind of AI stuff do you want to know? Who needs more information about funding? What kind of funding do you want to do? What are you looking to do? So it was always you asking and surveying, what is it that you need?
Well,
I loved that.
Thank you very much. So now sitting in this chair, you get this opportunity to do the same thing that we ask everybody to do. Who would you like to plug as the next entrepreneur to sit in the seat?
It's got to be Marvis Henderson. I am so enamored with her right now.
Ms. Marvis, I know you watching. You're next. You and the hot girls.
So 2 things.
Yeah.
Jay said I should have been there on the show to be used for an example today. And then it says, how do you spell her type of therapy?
Oh, sure. Kinesiology is KINESIOLOGY. And you can find out more about it at hollyferguson.com.
Look at that.
Website is dope too. So you text that to me and Sally today. I'm like, oh, I'm so proud. Great website.
Thank
you just got that done, right?
I did, yes.
Great website. Great
Yes, I
website.
did. So my phone number's on that, as well as my office address. I have a brand new office that's on Highway 55 in South Durham.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. It's right above Sunflower Bakery. I'm very excited about that.
Cool. So any final words that you have before we get ready to get up out of here? Just about, it could be about kinesiology. It can be about entrepreneurship, people reaching their goals, anything. What's your final words?
Absolutely. You know what I would say is don't wait, right? If you're feeling pain, if you're feeling stress, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you are stuck in grief,
Yes.
reach out to me. I would love to help you. I love providing a safe place for people to explore what's happening in their world. And nothing brings me more joy than watching somebody come back and come home to themselves.
That's dope. And that's it. That's the message.
Thank you so
We're
much.
not going to mess it up. Oh, there it is. So now it's also in the comment section. So make sure you go check out hollyferguson.com. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being a part of the plug.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it.
I'm so glad. It wasn't that bad, was it?
Not at all.
Okay.
And so tomorrow we will have the healing consultant along with Dr. Jans and James. So we'll have more. Huh? It's going to be a packed house. So we have more therapy that's going to be coming, more goodness and more self-care. So please tune in tomorrow. TDS Radio, our voice, our culture. Y'all have a good night. Peace.
Bye.